John Register here, Paralympic silver medalist, U.S. Army veteran, and your host for the Amputate to Elevate Success podcast, where we explore one powerful question. What did you have to amputate in order to elevate to your success? Today, I'm bringing you something special. This is a clip from my recent Champions Mindset keynote at Hyland Software. They were gracious enough to give me the video. And we're going to explore and unpack what it means to lead with resilience, clarity, and courage when everything around you is changing. You'll hear how the Champions Mindset isn't about medals. It's about the mindset that turns obstacles into opportunities. It's about how we shift from fear to focus and from setback to strategy. So if you've ever faced a high-stakes transition or wondered how to keep leading when the playbook changes mid-game, this one's for you. We'll get into it right after this. Revolutionary, perseverance in winning. Winning is coming up the most. I think determination and success, being more successful. I love it. So as we think about this right now, the word that comes up for me in this moment is Olympic. Olympic is the word I was thinking about when I was thinking about your presentation after the great crew gave me some information on all of you. It's also fascinating. Y'all are here, what? Last night was your first free night in Vegas? And I see a lot of empty seats. You checking on your buddy. Olympic is the word I'm thinking about. Why? Because in 776 BC, the founders of the Olympic movement, the Olympic Games, came up with three words that became the motto of the Olympic movement. Citius, Altius, Fortius. Citius, Altius, Fortius. These three Latin words, when they are translated into English, mean swifter, higher, stronger. As I thought about those three words of swifter, higher, and stronger, I recognized and realized that those words are not written in the superlative of the word. It's not the highest form of the word. If it were, it would be swiftest, highest, or strongest. Isn't that what we all want? Aren't all of us champions in here? Yeah, some are like, woo. Some are saying like, last night was really rough. I used to hate that, right? Everybody's a champion. Everybody's a champion. Everybody gets a medal. But everybody, when I really thought about it, is a champion. Why? Every one of us won a swim race that was in here. Some of you catching that. Some of you getting it. Some of you, you're worth waiting on, but that's okay. You were first to the egg. You won. You beat out so many that were trying to have life exist, and so every single person in here is a champion. Can we get back to that mindset? I remember, as this wonderful looking young man here, going to the Dallas Morning News Invitational in Dallas, Texas, as a redshirt freshman for the University of Arkansas. Go Pigs. Go Pigs. Pig Suey, right, it's backs. That's me right there beating George Jones. 13.54 was the time that we have for this race at the University of Arkansas. My coach, John McDonald, the most winningest coach in NCAA history, 42 national championships, takes me, a redshirt freshman, down to the Dallas Morning Invitational, where I promptly win the collegiate division of the 55-meter high hurdles. Thank you very much. A gentleman who has a beautiful tuxedo on has a golden sealed invitation, and he goes to me and comes up and says, "Mr. Register, you have won the 55-meter high hurdles." That's my best Texas accent, y'all. And I say to him, I know this. "Well, sir, we want you to come back tonight and compete in the open division this evening." And I said, well, thank you very much. And I got my golden sealed invitation. As we're driving back, Mike Conley is driving the car. The Memphis Grizzlies, Timberwolves there, his son, Mike Conley Jr., now plays for them. So as Mike is driving back, gold medalist, silver medalist from the Olympic Games,
He says, John, you know what that invitation means, right? And I said, Mike, absolutely not. You get to come back here and compete this evening against the people that you have up on your wall at the University of Arkansas. Greg Foster, Ronaldo Nehemiah. And I got excited and terrified at the same time. So I had a little 35 millimeter camera. I took it out of my drawer at the hotel. I went back to the Dallas Morning News just in case I happened to see one of my heroes. And oh my gosh, there he was. Ronaldo Nehemiah. And I took out my 35 millimeter camera and I went, click. Put it back in, and then it came time for the race. The announcer's voice comes over the loudspeaker. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to event number 43, the men's 55-meter high hurdles. In lane number 1, this man just finished a stint with the San Francisco 49ers. He's back on the track, first person under 13 seconds in the 110-meter high hurdles. This is Ronaldo Nehemiah. Crowd goes wild. Okay, Hyland, that's your cue. Crowd goes wild. Yeah, that's pretty good. In lane number 2, last week in New York City at the Milrose Games, he just set the world record at this distance. This is Gregory Foster. In lane number 3, John Register, University of Arkansas. In lane number 4, now I'm ticked. I just won the 55-meter high hurdles that afternoon. Thank you very much. And I'm ticked that he has just gone over my name. So the starter gets us into the position. We get to that bird dog set position, and I want to show these boys who's boss. Gun goes off. I am flying linear expression. I'm about to attack that first hurdle. And when I look up to attack that first hurdle, I swear I am watching the best hurdle race of my life. So I sit down in the chair. I'm changing from my spikes back to my flats. And this woman comes over. She sits down next to me and she says, you know, young man, I saw you win the collegiate division of the high hurdles this afternoon. Congratulations. I said, thank you very much. And she said, and I saw the man give you your golden sealed invitation. But young man, you have dishonored your invitation. I was like, who is this lady? She leaned in a little bit more and she said, when you got that golden sealed invitation, that was your invitation to come and compete. You had your camera out taking pictures. What you need to do is develop those pictures on your wall, back home at the University of Arkansas, put them up there, circle bullseyes around them, come back here next year, kick their butts. Her language is a little bit harsher than that. And then she got up and she walked out of my life forever. So we're in the van, we're driving back, Mike's driving again, and he turns to me and says, what was Jeanette Bolden talking to you about? I said, Jeanette Bolden? 4 by 100 meter gold medalist from the 1984 Olympic Games? Had just taken time out of her schedule to come over and sit down and pour into somebody and see for me what I couldn't see in myself. And shift my mindset from going from greatest to greater. She helped me see that champions are always building towards greater. Champions mindset, champions always are building towards greater. Think about it. When you get back home and you're looking at what you need to be doing. You've had 3 days of content, 3 days to innovate, to think about innovation. But what are we now going to do with that information? Do we just go back, sit on the shelf? Or do we need to activate it into what's going on in Nevada right now in a total attack? How are we pushing that information that we have? Are we the ones supposed to do it? Or is my team supposed to do it? Or is somebody else supposed to do it? No, it's me. I'm the champion. We have to push forward into the greater. It's the Citius, Altius, Fortius, the swifter, higher, stronger, not the superlative of being the best. We as leaders, as going back, need to become the greatest, but impart to others greater. We're always working towards the greatest. We see this change as the opportunity and the champion's mindset because they triumph through adversity. Champions triumph through adversity. On May 17, 1994, USA Track and Field News had picked me as the one to watch for the 1996 Olympic Games in the 400-meter hurdles. The U.S. Army had selected me for officer candidate school, and I was going to go down to Fort Benning School for girls and boys and become a United States officer, do 20 years in service after the Gulf War. I was excited. I was on top of the world. But May 17th, 1994, in Hays, Kansas, the wind was blowing hard. Now, the 400-meter hurdles is a race that's one time around the track over 10 obstacles spaced 35 meters apart. There are 10 of them that goes around. There's a 45-meter run into the first hurdle. There's a 40-meter run off of the last hurdle. And I'm approaching each one of these hurdles at the speed of 8.7 meters per second, which equates to what? Fast is the right answer, absolutely. That's John Register math. Thank you very much. I'm having trouble with my steps. So in the 400-meter hurdles, I can take the hurdle with my right leg or my left leg. It doesn't really matter. But I just run my first sub 50-second race down in Texas, so I'm trying to recreate the pattern. But with the wind blowing, my right leg comes up, my left leg comes up. Left leg comes up, the right leg comes up. And sometimes in hurdles, as in life, we just want things to stay the same. But it's not. The wind's blowing hard. I get in the blocks, I do my one last pass, and when I get to that first hurdle, right leg leads, I'm on. I get to that second hurdle, right leg leads again, I'm on. I get to the third hurdle and I feel the Kansas wind pushing against me, but I push hard back against the Kansas wind and I realize I'm going to be short. I have to take that hurdle with my left leg leading. So no problem, launch myself off the right leg, cross the hurdle with my left, I land and I hear, my body sails and twists in the air and I see my left shin pass in front of my face. My shoulders hit the ground. I bounce to a halt. I do a quick once over my body. My shoulders okay, my waist is okay. When I saw my knee, the patella had risen 3 inches up my femur bone. My left leg was now over and canted across my right, and my foot was touching the black surface of the track. Let me park the story right there just for a second because a very sharp second lieutenant, she took 9 pictures that day. So I'll step off the track real quick and I want to show you the picture of that injury. If you're a little bit squeamish, you can look away for about 90 seconds. If you're like first responders, firefighters, and technology advisors, you can say, show me now, dude. And if you're undecided, you can do this. All right, let's see what's going on. On the bottom portion, you'll see my foot come up the shin bone, and you see the head of the femur poking out, trying to break the skin. Down here is my head, cradled by Ben Curitan, I'm supposed to go to officer candidate school with him. Dino Napier, fastest man in the Army at that time, one of my best friends, has his head on my head. Roz is holding my hand over here. She has the watch on, Sergeant Roz Hazlitt. And then Tony Sylvester, Staff Sergeant Tony Sylvester, who saved over 7 lives in Iraq and Afghanistan, as a combat medic, knows exactly what to do. He's dialed in with line of sight on me. And up in the top right-hand corner, I have no idea who the Bermuda shorts, ashy white legs, and bobby socks look like. The only thing I could think about in that moment was just get up. Just get yourself up, John. Come on, get yourself, get on, get up, come on, just push yourself, get up. Oh God! 90 minutes later, the ambulance comes. puts me in the back, whisks me off to Hayes Medical Center, where a doctor takes one look at my leg, takes one look at me and says, Mr. Register, we're gonna have to fix that. So he bore down that crooked leg. We're gonna do this on 3. 1. My leg ballooned up, I passed out, and I don't remember too much what happened next. I don't remember the life flight from Hayes to Wichita, Kansas, where I went to Wesley Medical Center. I don't remember the 11-hour vein graft operation to reconstruct a disrupted popliteal artery. All I remember was waking up in the hospital room with my wife, Alice, holding on to my left hand, my parents, Don and Dolores, on the opposite side of the bed, John Jr. playing with a little toy train at the foot of the bed, and Dr. Randy Mullen saying, yeah, you got a tough choice to make. You can either keep your leg, use a walker or a wheelchair for the rest of your life, or I can amputate your leg and you can use a prosthesis for the rest of your life. Now, what kind of choice is that? I looked back at the doc, I said, I know it has to be amputated because it was the pain that spoke first. My male deductive reasoning said, if I just get rid of my leg, I can get rid of my pain. I said, Doc, I know it has to be amputated. And he immediately went into work. 2 days later, I wake up in that same hospital room. Things were beeping and buzzing all around me. And I'm in more pain than my male deductive reasoning had reasoned. And I just wanted something to knock it out. There was a morphine drip button on my right, your left, but I was too weak to roll over to press that button. I could see the nurses stationed outside my door, but those tubes that had been down my throat made the sound too inaudible to get their attention. So there I lay in that bed for the next 8 hours with my dangerous thoughts. Who am I now? What's my identity? Is my wife going to stick around? Is my son still going to see me as his father? Do I still have a job in the military? Can I support my family? My Olympic dreams, they're over. At 8 o'clock, Dr. Mullins comes back in the room, sees I've done a 180-degree shift. Immediately calls my wife, Alice, who's at the local hotel trying to manage herself, John Jr., me, her mother-in-law and father-in-law. And at 7 o'clock that morning, she had just received a telephone call. We were geographically separated. I was stationed in Germany without command sponsorship to bring my family with me, so as a good Army wife, she was working a job in West Memphis, Arkansas, and that job had just called to fire her for being gone too long taking care of me. Thank you for your service, ma'am. And she comes over, the saint of a woman, gets me out of the bed, puts me in a wheelchair, wheels me out to an inaccessible playground where I'm parked, forced to watch my wife and my son play on the swings, and I couldn't push myself out of that chair. It was the first time I felt disabled. I lost it, started crying uncontrollably, heaving sobs, couldn't catch a breath. And Alice saw me struggling and comes running over from the swing and kneels down beside me, wraps her arms around that chair and myself and says, "What is going on, babe?" And I began to articulate to her everything that was in my head the night before. And then she said those magical words, "You know what, John, we're going to get through this together. It's just our new normal. It's just our new normal." And when she spoke those words, she baselined my entire existence. She undergirded me with that love. As I was wiping the tears away from my eyes, I see John Jr. He jumps off the swing, hits the ground, comes running over. "Hey, Mom, Dad, you see my big jump? Mom, Dad, you see my big jump?" And he jumps in between myself and Alice. And in that moment, I realized that he has just validated me as his father. He's just created his new normal. And that's exactly what I had to do. Because champions begin to take the things that are around them and the people that they have surrounded themselves with to move themselves forward, whether it's coaches or family members, team members, Hyland members, to elevate us to the next level of what must happen to go from the great to the greater, the greatest to the greater. We must always be thinking, yeah, we might be the top person right now, but we can always get to the greater. So with those words, I began to retool my life. I had a new vision that could become. I began to revision what was possible. So I don't go to the Olympic Games, but there's this thing called the Paralympics. And I built a parallel path for that. I'm not going to become an Army officer, so I built a program for wounded, ill, and injured service members for the United States Olympic Committee that then turns into Warrior Games and then turns into Invictus Games that Prince Harry runs. So it's not that we can be finite, we begin to play the infinite game. We move ourselves into an infinite thinking. That's what champions do. So I started swimming for physical therapy. I got so fast in the water, 27 months later, I somehow fluked up, messed up, and actually made the Paralympic swim team. Went to Atlanta. Oh yeah, you can clap on that. That's good, that's good. Good deal. I only got 12 minutes though, you know. I saw this guy on the long jump runway. He was coming down with an artificial leg, leg over leg. I'd never seen nothing like this before in my life. He hits the takeoff board, leaps up into the air, apex height of his flight, his artificial leg flies off. He lands here, artificial leg lands about 3 feet up in front of him. Whole crowd does a Macaulay Culkin moment. He turns back to the long jump official and says, "We're gonna measure my jump from here, my artificial leg landed up there." I said, brilliant attitude to have. I have a leg made for running. I relearned how to run. 4 years later, I win the silver medal in the long jump. You want to see the jump? Yeah, let's see. All right, me too. But it always turns out the same way. Oh, yeah.
Let's take a look at the men's long jump F42 finals starting list, and Lucas Christen from Switzerland is the dominant one in this field. He holds both the world and Paralympic record in this event. Victor Goriansen from Sweden is up now, ready for his third attempt. It's not a bad effort. He's pretty satisfied with it. 4.89. It's actually a season best for the Swede. Here's the man to beat. He is the world record holder, jumping 5.43 in 98 in Birmingham. Well, he's pleased the crowd. He's happy with that one. And so he should be. He's smashed his world mark with 5.57, a new world mark. Well, the pressure's really on now for John Register from the USA. 5.57, the mark to beat. Nice lead up, but it's short. He's not able to take the gold from Christen, but he does move into second spot. So here are the results of the men's long jump final. Gold to Christen, silver to Register, and Goriansen home with the bronze.
Y'all are clapping. I'm laughing because every time I see that video, I think I'm still going to win the gold medal. I mean, you know. But silver's not too bad. So if you want to see it, you want to do one of those bite it, come out to the book signing. We'll be there, Sylvia and myself, and you can get a chance to see that. So what's the point with it? Because I never end with that. We got to do some. I'm a trainer by trade, so I have to train. Michael Johnson, Carl Lewis, I jumped against them, and the reporter asked me afterwards, "Do you think that with artificial limb technology, you could be back in the game with them?" And I said, no. But maybe your question should be, if God forbid Carl Lewis or Michael Johnson lost a limb, could they run as fast or jump as far as I do? And that's where we want to move people from the great to the greatest to the greater, the Citius, the Altius, the Fortius, because it's not about what other trying to be like someone else. We're all champions. We're that individual voice. We're created distinctly. There's no one else that's like you. So we need to tap into that.
Hey, real quick, before we jump back into the content, if this conversation is resonating with you, I want to personally invite you to join our Elevate Life community on Beehiiv. Beehiiv is with 2 eyes. Every Wednesday, I drop the Elevate Life weekly podcast filled with leadership insights, transformational stories, and real tools that you can use right away. Then every Saturday, I go deeper into the Saturday ThinkLetter, where we unpack the lessons from leaders and explore what it really takes to elevate in your career, your company, and your calling. There was a small request I have that you just have a little bit of skin in the game for this content. I've just learned that we don't always value what is given away. And if you're ready to go further, check out our monthly Elevate Life Executive Experience, a live coaching lab where we connect in real time to build the mindset, communication, and the strategies that fuel transformation. You can sign up right now at johnregister.com/Beehiiv. Again, Beehiives with 2 eyes, or just tap the link in the show notes. All right, let's get back into the episode.
Here's the thing I really want to get to. I never look back, except for you today. And here's why I never look back, because we can't change anything about the past. But there are things that we can learn from the past. And I want to share 3 things that I learned that has shifted the way I look at things moving forward. So when I do a podcast, I'm always asking CEOs or executives, what's the thing that you need to amputate in order to elevate to your success? I get some amazing answers. But the final question is usually, if you look 10 years, 20 years from now, what are the things you need to amputate right now to make it to there? So that's why I don't look back. However, I'm going to give you some technology, since you're all techies, to understand what may have cost me 6.5 inches of winning silver and not winning gold. Are we straight with that? Can I do that? Am I okay to do that? Is that a no or is that a yes? Okay, I'm just checking in with y'all because y'all look like you're crazy. All right, so the first thing is we have this, I'm not going to explain the model, we're just going to look at two areas really quickly. And that is we have this open area and this unknown area. We're not going to, like I said, we're not going to explain the model too much. We do this in training sessions. But the unknown area is what we're trying to get expansion. Things that you have yet to discover about me and things I have yet to discover about you. In the champion's mindset, this is where brilliance lies. Because people who are moving towards the less than 1% of what people will do in executing to get an Olympic medal, a Paralympic medal, they're always failing very fast and having very short memories to get to the next level. And they're doing it in a space where other people don't know as much as they don't know either. So the 3 things that were happening, let me go back one, 3 things that were happening that I believe won me the silver and not the gold. The first is I became a true above-the-knee amputee versus a through-the-knee amputee. So which one, by show of hands, would you pick? Would you want to be a through-the-knee amputee, or would you want to be a true above-knee amputee? True or through? Which one? Which one do you pick? How many are through-the-knee amputees? How many are the other one? How many is like, I don't want to be an amputee at all? Well, what I chose the above the knee, the true above the knee amputee. Why was this maybe a wrong decision? Because when we talk about sprinting, there are 3 things that are at work. We have stride frequency, how fast we're turning over, stride length, how long that stride is, and we're having power or force into the ground. If I keep my femur bone as a through the knee amputee, I have more force I can put into the ground, which means I can run faster. Right now, I weight bear on my hip, almost up to my hip area. So I have a longer lever and I can't get enough force into the ground to compete with the through the knee amputees. The 2 individuals you saw on the video that were before me were through the knee amputees while I was a true above the knee amputation. I don't know which one to pick. My doctors didn't seem to know which one to pick. My prosthetist didn't seem to know one to pick. We were just trying to get rid of pain. We're choosing too quickly. The second is an extension stop. I went down for 4 months because I did not understand this piece of hardware right there. That piece of hardware keeps us from going into hyperextension with the leg. So it bumps up against this lip right here, and that, when it's fully closed, stops the leg from going to hyperextension. If it goes into hyperextension, there's a stress that happens on this bar, which then pulls this knee unit out of its housing. So I was breaking that all the time because I didn't have that extension stop. And it took me 4 months to figure it out. What the manufacturer said, oh my gosh, why aren't you using the extension stop? I said, the what? 4 months. Did that equal the 6.5 inches I won silver, not gold? And then finally, viscosity. When I got to the games, 6 days before the games, I was overpowering my leg. I was going too fast on the leg. I was so strong and so fast that the leg wasn't keeping up with me. It was a governor. And my prosthetist, the game prosthetist, said, well, you just need more viscosity. I said, no, I still want to have kids with my wife. I said, no, dude, you need oil. You need more oil, more density of oil, so the leg will respond back faster. I said, oh, okay, got it. They flew a part over to me, and now I'm flying down the track. So I have a decision to make. Do I keep that in and change my steps right before the jump? Or do I go back to what I know and stay comfortable right there because I know what this leg will do? So of course, I actually chose the other way to do it. But did that equal the 6.5 inches if I would just had that 2 months earlier? So what does this mean? This means that there are things that we don't know in our future, and we get to this unknown space. Can we be comfortable with that unknown space in order to come up with brilliance? That's why diversity is so important, because we have to have so many voices in the room to begin to see what the myriad of options are, the kaleidoscope of options, so that we're just not in a binary situation. So above the knee amputee, extension stopper, viscosity, all those three combined, did that equal the 6.5 inches I won silver, not gold? What's costing you the gold today? So here's some of my insights. When I look at this picture, I no longer see the injury. I'm only seeing the people who are around me that will not allow me to fail. That will not allow me. Who's around you that will never allow you to fail? And then we've talked about building the champion's mindset. Somebody yell out one thing that you heard in building the champion's mindset today. One thing. Say it, you gotta yell it real loud. Hope, greater, greater. We looked at the Citius, the Altius, the Fortius, the swifter, the higher, the stronger. Knowing that those words are not built in the superlative, but built with this ER suffix. Continue to press the ER suffix in everything that you do. Our motto is go forth, inspire your world, because go is your command. Forth is your direction. Inspire is your vocation. Your because only you can do this work. You are unique and in your world because you can only do it in your sphere of influence. So Hyland, go forth, inspire your world. My name is John Register. Bye for now.
Let's go and inspire. We can take it higher. Give it all. Being great is required. There's a new normal waiting to push through. Overcome adversity and be the best you. Let's go and inspire. We can take it higher. Give it all you got. Being great is required. There's a new normal waiting to push through. Overcome adversity and be the best you. Two-time Paralympian made a way. Overcame adversity.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that snapshot of my Champion's Mindset keynote at Hyland Software, and I hope it challenged you to think about where you can elevate to next. Remember, transformation doesn't come from avoiding the pain. It comes from amputating what holds us back so that we can actually rise into something greater. If this episode encouraged you, do me a quick favor, like it, share it, and follow the show. That's how we spread this message to more inspirational leaders like yourselves who actually need it. And that keynote was about 30 minutes long that you got right there. It's a 60-minute keynote altogether. So remember, don't forget to join the Elevate Life community on Beehiiv, Beehiiv, of course, with 2 I's, for the Wednesday weekly podcast, the Saturday ThinkLetter, and the Elevate Life Executive Experience, where high performers grow into transformational leaders. Now, my company, Inspire Communications International, grows through referrals, introductions, and endorsements. So if you know of a company where this message would be beneficial and you can make an introduction for me, that would be absolutely amazing. Once again, I'm John Register, reminding you that when you amputate what's weighing you down, you elevate what's waiting to rise. Go forth, inspire your world. Bye for now.